Have you ever felt so tired, so frustrated, that you thought of giving up? You look in the mirror and wonder, what's the point anymore? Today, I want to share a story with you, a story about a young woman named Amina, whose hope was tested to its absolute limit. How one single decision changed everything for her. Stay with me, this might just be the spark you've been looking for. Amina grew up in a small, quiet village, dreaming of a life beyond its borders. Ever since she was a little girl, she harbored a single powerful dream to become a teacher and help children discover the magic of learning. With that dream packed in her heart, she moved to the bustling city, rented a tiny room, and threw herself into her studies while teaching part-time to make ends meet. But the city was not kind. Every door she knocked on seemed to slam shut in her face. She failed crucial exams, one after another. Some students didn't pay for her lessons, leaving her struggling to afford rent. Her health began to weaken under the constant stress, and a profound sense of loneliness settled in. So many nights, she would just sit by her window, watching the city lights blur through her tears, thinking to herself, maybe I should just stop. Maybe this dream is too big for someone like me. She was surrounded by reminders of her failures, rejection letters, unanswered calls, the growing stack of bills. The world felt like it was telling her to quit. The lowest point came on a cold, grey afternoon. After weeks of anxious waiting, a letter arrived. It was the official refusal for her teaching license. It wasn't just a rejection, it felt like a final judgment on her dream. The paper was crisp and formal, but the words crushed her spirit completely. She stumbled back to her small room, the letter trembling in her hand, and collapsed onto her bed. A single thought echoed in the silence. I don't have any strength left. She remembered a phrase her late grandmother used to tell her, even the tallest, strongest tree once started as a fragile seed, battered by storms, but holding its ground. But in that moment of despair, those words of wisdom felt distant and hollow, like a story about someone else. The temptation to pack her bags and return to her village, to give up for good, was overwhelming. She had truly hit rock bottom. That very same night, as she mindlessly scrolled through her phone, seeking any distraction from the pain, her thumb paused on an old voice message. It was from a young student she had tutored in her earliest days in the city, a boy who had struggled immensely. She pressed play, and a child's voice, filled with earnest gratitude, filled the quiet room. Miss Amina, he said, you taught me how to read when everyone else, even my parents, believed I couldn't. Thank you. You really changed my life. The words landed like a gentle rain on parched earth. Tears started to roll down her cheeks again, but this time they weren't tears of despair, they were tears of realization. It hit her with stunning clarity. If she couldn't see the grand success she dreamed of, even if she felt like a complete failure. Somewhere out there, a life was already changed because she had refused to give up on someone. A new fire ignited within her. She sat up, wiped her eyes, and with a newfound resolve, she opened her dusty textbooks. A promise formed on her lips, a vow to herself and to that little boy. I will keep going, not just for me anymore, but for all the others out there who need me. The dream was no longer just hers. It belonged to them, too. The path forward was still far from easy. The road ahead remained rough and winding. She still faced rejections. There were still long nights filled with doubt and the quiet fear of failure. But something fundamental had shifted inside her. Her mindset was different. Instead of fixating on the giant, intimidating goal of opening a school, she started focusing on the small, achievable wins of each day. She celebrated teaching one child a new word, seeing a smile of understanding on a student's face, writing one perfect lesson plan, or finally mastering one difficult concept for her exams. She began to keep a journal, not to list her failures, but to document her efforts. Simple entries like, "I showed up today," or "I tried my best," became her daily affirmations. Over weeks and then months, these small, consistent efforts began to accumulate, like single drops of water slowly filling a bucket. Word of her dedication and patience started to spread through the community. Parents began to trust her with their children's education. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, doors that had been slammed shut began to creak open. It wasn't a dramatic overnight transformation. It was a slow, steady, and beautiful process of growth. It was real. A few years later, a letter arrived. This time, it held her official teaching license. The modest school she had dreamed of finally opened its doors in her neighborhood. Her first batch of students was a challenge. Many of them were behind and lacked confidence, much like she once did. But Amina poured her heart into them, and slowly they began to improve. Parents saw the change. They paid her on time, and they told their friends. Her small classroom began to fill up. One bright morning, as she stood in front of her students, a wave of emotion washed over her. She looked at their eager faces and thought back to that dark night she had almost given up on all of this, on all of them. But she didn't. That one small, defiant decision to stand up and try again had not only changed her life, but it was now changing the lives of so many others. Persistence had turned her fragile seed of a dream into a forest of opportunity for her community. So, what can we take away from Amina's incredible journey? First, persistence often matters more than raw talent. So many of us quit just when we are on the verge of a breakthrough. Second, never underestimate the power of small, consistent steps. Those tiny daily actions compound over time into massive results. Third, you never truly know whose life you are touching. Even when you feel invisible and unappreciated, your effort is making a difference to someone. And finally, a shift in mindset can save you. Moving from "should I quit" to "I will just try one more time" is everything. If you feel like giving up today, I want you to just pause. Take a deep breath. Remember why you started this journey in the first place. And then just take one more small step. That single step could be the one that leads to your own turning point. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this time with me. If this story inspired you, please show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Your support helps these stories reach more people who might need to hear them. I'd love to connect with you. Tell me in the comments which line from Amina's story touched your heart the most. Let's talk about it together.